So we met outside of a restaurant, and we talked a little bit, and somehow we started talking about like all the protests that were happening and a lot of the social justice stuff that was going on and the BLM movements. And I remember that I just completely out of nowhere, I blurted out to him that, I think that if every professional basketball player or football player were forced to spend 200 hours, 200 hours with a financial analyst in their rookie year, you would reshape the concept of wealth in the United States of America. And a lot of these inequities, these social inequities and these racial inequities from an economic standpoint would almost go out the window. Or at the very least, they would dissipate significantly. So I want to hear what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I think the convo came up. We were talking about generational wealth and how people can attain that. And I think it's a very fine line between generational wealth and the average American because, as you stated, athletes have that opportunity to gain generational wealth where no one in their family should have to work again. No one in their family, in their lineage, should have to have a job.
Yes.
It's like the Hiltons, the Rockefellers. They don't need to work. The Fords,
Yeah, and the Jameses should be like that, and so should the Jordans, and so should the Allen Iversons. But then you have the fact that 60% of NBA players go broke after 5 years of playing, and 75 to 80% of NFL players go broke within 3 years of playing. So, you have probably over $1 billion combined at least, right? You probably have multiple billions of dollars combined in wealth allocation to people of color that if there was a much better set of financial education principles involved, that money could multiply and be reinvested into black communities, and it could literally be it could be a completely transformative experience to a lot of communities of color in a really positive way without having to have any of these violent protests that we're having.
I agree, but that starts at an elementary level. It's hard to teach a young man who's never had a dollar, who's never understood wealth, that when he turns 18, 30 days from now after he signs a contract, he's going to have $60 million in his pocket. It's hard to teach him at that time how to invest. It's hard to teach him the importance of a dollar. That financial institution, that financial education should be started at the elementary level when we're teaching kids how to read, how to write. We should be teaching them how to balance checkbooks. We should be teaching them financial responsibility. So I think that's an implementation from when they're much younger than when they become adults and say, hey, you shouldn't do this because now you have that money.
Fully agree. And I think that you can be literally using city tax dollars to finance financial education programs in boys and girls clubs. You could be teaching financial education in elementary school and make it really simple. And it should just be like a reoccurring concept. So by the time you're 18 years old, you should understand, what a PE ratio is, what an income statement is,
a balance sheet.
It
should be a
free cash flow versus operating cash flow.
It should be a course starting in elementary school all the way through high school.